The year is 2099. The train we're on is traveling at a blistering 8,000 kilometers an hour on a journey under the Atlantic Ocean. The passengers have just had dinner in New York, and in less than an hour they'll be having dessert in Paris. Science fiction? Perhaps not. A transatlantic tunnel may be closer to reality than we think. Planet Earth. 70% of the Earth's surface is water. A patchwork of seas and oceans separating the people of the world. In the not too distant future, there may be a radical way to traverse the world's oceans. One that will forever transform the way we think about our shrinking planet. More than 5,000 kilometers of ocean separate the old world from the new. A transatlantic tunnel will be one of the biggest construction projects ever undertaken. It would require global resources on a scale never before imagined. An estimated 1 billion tons of steel. The combined output of all the world's steel mills for an entire year. Over 50,000 tunnel sections, each weighing thousands of tons. Secured to the ocean floor. The cost would be staggering, $12 trillion. And it would take almost a century to complete, in some of the most extreme working conditions on the planet. But if completed, the transatlantic tunnel would change our traveling habits forever. One could easily live on one side of the Atlantic Ocean and work on the other. An impossible dream? Frank Davidson doesn't think so.
Transatlantic tunnel is not beyond the reach of modern science and technology. It's a matter of getting used to new realities.
And Davidson should know. His firm helped design the Channel Tunnel, linking England and France. The channel was also considered an impossible idea. And yet today, 6 million passengers a year make the 3-hour trip between Paris and London. But at 50 kilometers long, the channel seems little more than a short hop compared to the 5,000 kilometer long transatlantic tunnel. The idea of a transatlantic tunnel has inspired visionaries for over a century. In 1895, Jules Verne predicted carriages traveling at 1,600 kilometers per hour, propelled through a tunnel by huge steam-driven fans at either end. In 1972, science fiction writer Harry Harrison envisioned a transatlantic tunnel partially supported by vast undersea bridges. But constructing an underwater tunnel to carry passengers across the Atlantic would pose challenges of unimaginable proportions.
There are many factors that make it an extremely difficult, if not almost impossible project. The very limited weather windows for construction, the extreme distances that you'd have to move materials, and of course the cost of this enormous project.
Difficult, dangerous, and astronomically expensive, but in the minds of some visionaries, entirely possible.
When you start looking at the problems systematically, they will yield to research and development.
The first step would be to map out the most practical route. Since undersea tunnel construction can cost as much as $6 billion a kilometre, minimizing the underwater distances would seem to be an attractive design solution. Indeed, an early proposal took a northerly route, beginning at Canada's Newfoundland coast, then dipping in and out of the ocean over Greenland and Iceland, before splitting towards Scotland and Norway. Compared to a completely submerged tunnel from New York to England, this route would cut underwater construction in half. But there were other problems with the proposal. The extreme weather conditions in Greenland were certain to hamper daily operations. The simplest solution is a direct link, 5,000 kilometers underwater from New York City to the coast of England, and on to London and Paris. But it's also the most expensive. But can a passenger-carrying tunnel under the Atlantic Ocean, an overwhelming engineering feat, ever actually be built?